Welcome back, everybody. It's another Wednesday at 8 p.m. for the Relationship Gumbo Podcast Live Edition. And we have a special topic and a special guest. We're going to talk about friends. What about your friends? And we're going to, I'm going to take maybe about 30 seconds to make sure that everything is working the way it's supposed to. And when we come back, we're going to get started. We're not going to take too long to get started. We're going to get right into it because we got a lot of good topics to cover. So give me 30 seconds. I'll be back. Make sure you share and invite with your friends and family. Anybody that you know that has had complications or issues with friendships and how to maintain them. We're going to talk about that tonight. So bear with me and I will be right back.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derrick Jones about to break it down with the Relationship Gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy, cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derrick Jones, the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship Gumbo, ayy.
All right. Looks like we're good everywhere. Remember, guys, we are broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope simultaneously. So depending on where you are chiming in, you have the option to go to either of those three every time you come back. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let you know this is a live podcast. So when we start the podcast, I'm going to show you where you can go to listen to the audio once I upload it. So here's the podcast information. You can go to any place that has podcasts, basically. I made sure that I put it everywhere. So just search for Relationship Gumbo and you should be able to find it. And I believe right now there's 30 episodes for you to binge. I know you guys have time, so you can binge. It's a lot of good information there. Also, we just relaunched our apparel line. So we have at relationshipgumbo.net, you can go look at the Relationship Gumbo apparel line. I got a few new t-shirts up there. So have fun. There's a lot of good goodies over there, and there's going to be some new things coming over the next few weeks. I got online courses and all kind of other stuff. I'm just in the grind. We're in quarantine time, so I'm trying to make good use of it. So we are going to talk about friendships today, and we're going to start the podcast. Normally, the way this works, if this is your first time, I'll pause for 3 seconds, start the podcast, because we're also recording the audio for the actual podcast portion. So at the end, I will pause for another 3 seconds and then we can speak freely. If you have questions that are pertinent to the topics we're covering, I may address them during the podcast if they're pertinent. If not, we can just have kind of like an after chat afterwards and you can do like a Q&A. So we're going to get started. Stand by. And welcome to another episode of the Relationship Gumbo Podcast. My name is Derrick Jones and I am your host. I'm a certified life coach and engineer, a strategist, and a mental health advocate. And also remember, guys, this month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I'm going to get a couple of mental health topics towards the end of the month. But right now, we are going to talk about friendships. And the topic of the show is maintaining good friendships, right? A lot of us deal with some bad ones, some kind of crazy ones, and sometimes we just need to maintain the ones we have. And sometimes it becomes a challenge, as we get older in age and as people change. So I have a special guest that's going to help me with this topic tonight, Miss Georgina. We're going to get her up here real quick and I'm going to let her introduce herself because she can do it way better than I can. So hold on, guys.
Hey, guys. How's everyone doing? Thank you for having me. My name is Miss Georgina. I am a broadcast scriber. I'm a customer service expert, as well as a gift basket creator and budding makeup artist. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you were able to make it. And, I met Miss Georgina on Periscope. As you know, a lot of my last couple guests were from Periscope. There's a lot of good people on Periscope. And sometimes you meet people that have, like minds and like thoughts. And so I'm all about collaborating. So we're going to get it in. She expressed an interest to want to talk about friendships. So here we are. So
yes.
I'm going to let you start on the topic that you want to start on, and then we'll just go from there.
Well, with friendships, nowadays, you have friends that you grow up with, and then you mature, you go on into your careers. And sometimes within those friendships, everybody can't go with you. To every single stage that you cross. So as you go into your career, it may take you different places, and your friends from way back in the day can't go with you there. And you may be doing different things. And a lot of times you don't realize it. There's no real communication that happens. It's kind of like this silent break in the background, right? It just piece by piece, it starts to dissipate. And something may happen where one may feel neglected or the other, and you may meet at an event or something, and a big blow up happens. But really, the blow up wasn't that. It was this silent break that was happening that neither one was addressing. And that happens a lot as you go through friendships. And so what I found with that is communication. A conversation has to happen, and you have to be okay with letting one another go your separate ways to fulfill your life's goal and whatever your dreams are. But you have to talk about it, though.
Yeah, it's that silent break is something that a lot of people don't necessarily address, but it happens to a lot of us. Like I always tell people, my circle ain't a circle no more. It's a line. It don't even connect like it used to. So it's just like, you keep a couple, you keep a couple folks in the pocket that is cool. But when as you grow, sometimes, like you said, you can't take them with you. And some of them, the break, they go kicking and screaming. But sometimes you got to let them go so that you can grow. Dang, that's a bar. That's so, so you gotta, for me, when you're younger, you got your crew, and then when you get older, you kind of tend to be a little more. It's some people, like when you look on Facebook, some people still got friends from like third grade, and it'd be like 10 of them, and they be rolling and going on vacations. And then there's some of us who may have like 2 or 1, and we hang on to that. And what I was talking to you about earlier, about how when we get older and we have like those couple friends, or maybe you got your little crew of 5 or whatever, and you don't really like to let new people in. So that sometimes can be, sometimes it could be a detriment to your growth too. If you just kind of stay stagnant, you meet new people, you think they're cool, but they just can't get but so far with you because you're not willing to open that back up.
That ends up being a challenge. That ends up being a challenge because you're set in your ways, and you don't really, what happens too is you don't feel like reintroducing yourself to nobody no more. You comfortable, you figure you got your crew, you can rock, but then, career, moves you in different places where you can't be like that. You have to somehow find a way to be pliable. But that also goes back to the core of knowing who you are. Because some of us are attached to the hip with that crew, and we never found out who we are without them.
Yeah.
We never took the time out to figure out what we like to do, what we don't like. Maybe that really gets on my nerves, but I never say anything. You really just kind of flow with it, and you may find out that you're the person that just kind of goes with whatever they're doing, and you're too scared to go do your own thing and have that time to yourself. And a lot of us that don't like to be alone, we just keep people around. We just do. You know what I mean? We just keep them there because it's like, I don't want to be by myself. You here, so I'm going to keep you. Good, bad, or indifferent, I'm keeping you because I don't want to have to face being alone. But you do have to identify and know who you are as a person in totality without anybody. And that's what happens when you get a little bit, older, and you don't have that solid crew. Because what kept that crew in check was you were in the same place for a long time.
Right.
Yep. You had a set routine, from elementary school, middle school, junior high school, you had a set routine with a certain clique of friends. And even within that, as you went through different stages, you were cool with one crew for elementary school, you probably had a different crew for middle school, and then high school kind of solidified. By the time you got to college, you had starting brand new again, especially if you went away. You starting brand new, meeting, new people, and then you rock with them for another 4-5 years. So the length of time being in the same place is what allowed you to fall into a routine that was comfortable. Then when you get out of that, you got to be okay with who you are as a person, that no matter what room you go into, you're okay with that, and for a lot of us, the crew kind of shields us from really exploring that and growing, because sometimes it's stifling. We like a lot of us like familiarity a lot, so we'll stay in that spot because it's familiar. We won't go outside, because to go out on your own isn't always easy. Sometimes it's a little uncomfortable. So yeah.
What I always found, and I'm a probably speak to a few of these comments since we are live and we have comments coming in. I'm going to address a couple of them, but what I always found problematic was when you do kind of grow a little bit and then you kind of meet some new friends trying to merge the new ones with the old ones. That right there sometimes could be it could be difficult. It could be
talking about towing the line. Yeah, you on the edge.
Yeah. So I'm gonna read a couple of comments. Twyla Taylor from Facebook says, I agree with that. I have friends like that. I'm in my circle with a few people, but everybody can't be friends with you.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And you are responsible for maintaining and checking in on that inner circle. Because sometimes you got to move a seat. Sometimes you got to vacate a seat. Other times you bring someone else in, and it also depends where you are in life as well, because what fit at 15 don't fit at 25, you know. So you gotta monitor that a little bit. And I'm not gonna lie, it can be painful, you know. That's just the truth. Some things are really, really painful. You wish that it could have lasted a little longer, but then you realize you don't want the same thing. Because this happened to me. I had a really close friend. We were cool, had the greatest conversation ever. You know, he was, you know, opposite sex, so he was a dude. So I never really had that connection, you know, being friends with a guy. But what happens is you start to get older and you realize certain things. He had certain habits that I wasn't cool with. But if I stayed and kept it going, then I'm saying it's okay to treat me like that. But in reality, that's not what I want. So I had to speak up and I had to say something. But and what happened in that moment is that sometimes you don't even realize the core thing in anything, your standards, your values, were you maintaining that? Did you set a boundary? You know, because that I had to get checked on that, because it's like, okay, if this behavior has been going on, that means I okayed it. I said that, oh, it was cool for you to be like that. You know what I mean? And then when it wasn't cool, did I say anything about it? So I ended up having to say something about it. And it's that tough, you know, tug and pull where it's like, in the process of you expressing yourself, this person actually may disappear. But you can't, I can't shrink who I am to satisfy you. That's just, I'm lying then, you know?
And it's just like when you have, like when you're in just a regular, like romantic relationship, sometimes people stay because of the time served. Like it's been so long that we've been together. We've been friends this long. And then you know you need to cut them. You know that they probably need to drop off. They probably know they need to drop off, but they like, but we've been friends since second grade, so we might as well just keep rocking. And y'all are nothing alike anymore.
No, and then that's when that conversation has to happen. And of course, before it gets to that point, them silent breaks have happened. You've been in an instance, you want to address it, but it might have been at an event, but they got the new crew there, and you part of the old crew, and so it's like timing and having a conversation with people. And the other part of it too that helps with that is that people make time for what they want to make time for. And I had to learn that, because you know, you can try to be friends with people, you can try to have open communication. I'm guilty of giving everybody the utmost benefit of the doubt. And people take advantage of that. And so there's been times where I'm like, okay, but I give you the benefit of the doubt, because what is someone going to say to you? Oh, I'm busy. Okay, yeah, you're busy. Cool, no problem. You got this going on. I understand. But that doesn't mean that I'm not a busy person too. I'm making the effort to reach out to you, you know, and a lot of us, communication dries up with whatever it is that we got going on. Now, of course, with all this quarantine, you have more time on your hands. And I'm looking at people like, yo, if you haven't checked on me during this pandemic, I got to be checked. I got to look at everything, because at what point in my life are you ever going to check on me if you're not checking on me now? And I had someone literally say to me, oh, I'll talk to you after, you know, this COVID-19 is over. I was like, what?
Like the phone we don't work.
Over.
That's crazy.
But you felt comfortable saying that to me, and then I was like, I felt some type of way about it, and I'm like, is something wrong with me? And then I was just like, okay, that's how it is. And sometimes I don't got to argue with you, but you got to watch people's behavior. Their actions speak for itself. You know what I mean? And there's some people who you may have found yourself, you always go bending over and backwards for, or you're always very supportive of them, no matter what. And then you know, you
I
just
know this
out
one all
here.
too well. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like the seesaw is supposed to keep going up and down, but for some reason it's just one-sided.
Yeah. And see, for me, I'm gonna read a couple comments and then I'm gonna make my comment. Bars on air from Periscope says, because of time served, sound like somebody making license plate for the state. And you know what,
Right.
though? The reason why I say it that way, I do it that way on purpose, because a lot of times when you spend a long time, but it's not really fruitful, it almost feels like you're just doing it just because. And it's really like, I don't even really feel like it, but we've been friends for so long, and it almost feels like time served, like years go by.
Mm-hmm.
And Alicia from downstairs says, yeah, it's a sticky topic because some people look at the sticking it out as the friendship versus the actual substance of the friendship.
That's true.
Yeah. And that is something that a lot of people over time don't even realize. Like, you are moved on doing different stuff, the other friend doing different stuff, and you know, you may check on each other from time to time, but it's really not like they're not coming over for Thanksgiving, they're not getting invited to the house, they're not that type of friend anymore. And that's where I like draw the line. Like, for me, like you was talking about the seesaw, when I'm trying to meet and make a new friend, if that thing just stayed leaning one way, mm-hmm. I'm going to give you some tests. I'm going to check for you. I'm going to say hello. If it don't come back, I'm going to just stop and see what happened. If nothing come back, have a good day. Like, I don't, I'm getting too old for the chase. What am I chasing a dude for? Like, no, I'm not chasing no dude to be my friend. Come on, man.
No, that for real is, that makes sense. And the other thing I would have to say is that as you get older, you pace yourself, because we too quick to put everybody in a category nowadays. Yep. We too quick to get in a relationship. We too quick to be friends with people. And the reality is you got to pace yourself with getting to know somebody. And even, you know, same thing when you at work and a coworker. Not every coworker is going to be your buddy. You pace yourself with people. You got to see how they operate. You got to see what the communication style is like. Again, you got to know what your boundaries are. You got to know what your values are, where you stand, and who you are as a person. That will dictate what you're going to allow in your life and what you're not going to allow. And some people may not, you know, be there. And the other aspect is a level of maturity, right? Everybody doesn't grow at the same pace. So I may be stuck at a certain level that only took you 6 months to get through, but it's taken me 2 years. But we got to be okay with letting people get to where they need to be, because that person can't skip the process just to go, you know, toe to toe with you. And then when we get to that other level, they drowning, and you're not about to turn around and save them. And that's not when I want to find out whether you're my friend or not.
Right.
That is not what I want to find out.
Yeah.
I'd rather know beforehand.
Yeah. It's a lot of times, you know, as you grow, it sometimes, depending on the type of friend it is, I feel like you carrying like a bag, like you got to keep trying to tug them to move with you. And sometimes you get upset because they can't move with you, and you get frustrated. You like, why aren't they as motivated as I am? Why aren't they? And you get mad, and you like, but we known each other so long, and I just wish they would. And you can't make somebody be what they're not. So either you're going to be okay with it, like you said, or you got some decisions to make about how often you interact with them. Like, I'm an advocate for never really like burning a bridge, but I can manage how I interact with you.
Right. Adjust the distance.
Yeah, I can manage those boundaries.
If you were operating with them and y'all were like neck and neck, now you probably have to operate 3 feet apart, 6 feet apart, 2 miles apart, couple states apart. You have to monitor the distance, because I've been that friend where, you know, we were at one point going the same toe and I was the one that was stuck, you know, and it was like they were trying to pull me along and saying, you know, you're standing in your own way. You're not going to see what you're doing. And I didn't understand it, and I couldn't grasp it, because whatever I was dealing with, the boulder was too big for me to see over, and I was still chipping at my boulder so that I could have clear vision. I wasn't there yet. They had already passed that point. And so our friendship ended up becoming strained, at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started to look over it, I was like, you know what, this is what, my friend was talking about. And when I started to see it, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But even with that, right, this just goes to, and this is a friend I've had since we're like womb friends,
Mm-hmm.
Moms was pregnant the same year, a whole nines, right? So we've known each other for most of our entire lives. So what ended up happening when I started to see that, it never stopped me though, even though I wasn't at her level, it never stopped me if she got promoted from congratulating her. It never stopped me if she had an event from showing up, right?
Exactly.
Because I still was supporting her at the level in which I could in that way. So when you do things like that, it kind of makes it a little bit easier for you to maintain that friendship, even though you can't be like you once were as little kids, but you start to do it where you can. And what I find a lot of times, a lot of people just drop off or it's for show. The older you get, the more some of this stuff is a show. We talk about Instagram, social media, and all that stuff. A lot of people, the older you get, you realize they just put on airs. They just put on a front, and that's kind of, hard to take in. And sometimes people don't, especially now, I don't think people understand what a genuine article is. There's so much copycat. There's so much imitation of stuff going all over the place that when someone is actually being real and genuine and sincerely cares about you, it's like grounds for a fight now, which is so crazy. It's grounds for a fight. It's like, no, I really do care about you. I'm concerned about your overall well-being, and people are ready to scrap. And you're like, whoa, where did all this come from? Right?
That's social media. Let me just touch on that for a minute, because this is one of the things that perplexes me sometimes. Social media and just having like the cell phones and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
In theory, it's supposed to keep us more connected. But when you talk about friends, right? And I always talk about this to my wife all the time. When you scroll the timeline, you don't see people with new friends. It's always them with their old crew that they've been with. And you would think with all this connectivity and, people are owning businesses and collaborating and doing all this, that you would see people hanging out with new friends, because now we have more ways to connect across the country, in your city. And it just doesn't happen. And I think people, even though, and it happens across the board, even with family, like we have all of this stuff and we still don't talk to our family members. Like we can literally FaceTime somebody 2 states away if we wanted to, and we just don't do it. And I think people, even with all of this technology, tend to still center themselves on themselves, and they don't want to bring anything new in. And I think we stifle ourselves when we don't allow new people and new friends to come in our lives. But like I said, when you scroll up and down and you be seeing people celebrating their birthdays, it's very rarely, this is just my view, I don't see new people. They'll say, these are my girls from high school or whatever, but they'll never say, I've known this person for a year. That person doesn't exist. I don't know why that is, but maybe you can share some insight on it. I don't know.
Well, I will say this. A lot of people are not used to putting themselves in this goes back to you knowing who you are, right? Because one of the things that happened to me, and I'll use this example, is that you ever wanted to go see a show, a movie, you was super, super excited about it, been talking about it for weeks. You reached out to a couple different people. You figure they have similar interests that they would want to go. You already bought your ticket to, for me, it was a show. I already bought the tickets to the show. I'm checking back, seeing if anyone's going to say, who's this? What's that? Okay, we're going to meet up or whatever. Let me tell you, I got these tickets at a premium price on a low, and I was super excited to go to this concert and almost missed my super low discounted ticket price because nobody got back to me. That was the first and last time that happened. So now, if I see a show I want to go to, I already bought my ticket. After I buy my ticket, I tell y'all about it because I'm not going to be disappointed. And you have to know who you are. So for me, I went to the concert and I enjoyed myself. But here's the thing that I realized: whether you come with me or not, I will be there. I'm going to rock out. I'm going to have a great time. I can't tell you the amount of concerts I've been to by myself. And a lot of women are afraid to go and spend time without somebody there. Like, oh, it feels weird. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. And I'm like, you don't take yourself out on a date. You don't take it. I'm the person who will get all dressed out and go to a fancy restaurant. I really don't care. You deserve to have that same level. Because if I'm willing to do that for somebody else, why am I not willing to do that for myself? That's number one. The other aspect of that is when you know your interests and you know who you are, you're not intimidated when you step in a room full of other people. This goes back to old crew versus new crew. It's not hard for you to step out and say, hi, my name is so-and-so. Nice to meet you. Oh, we go way back from whatever. What do you do? Right? Yeah. And then have a conversation that way. Some of our friends are bad wingmen when it comes to that. It just is what it is. Like you meet new people, they're terrible at, oh, who that? They just sitting there with a nasty attitude and just change the whole atmosphere. And it's like, we're in a new place. Yes, I know you from back when, whatever, but when new people come around, you're not about to cling to me for their life. I'm out here trying to talk to and mingle with different people. And the only way to do that is to learn how to go places that you're interested in, things you're interested in doing by yourself. And having that time to find out, do I really like this? Do I really enjoy this? You know what? I tried that, but I didn't like that. Because the thing with me is I always think about that scene in Coming to America where he asks her, what do you like? And she goes, whatever you like. I never want to be in that situation. So I don't want to have that be my answer. So I go and I do, different things. But you got to be okay taking a path by yourself. You got to be okay with it.
Yeah. So I'm going to address a couple comments that, and I have, at least for me, I got one more topic that I want to cover with this. Bars on there from Periscope says, people love quoting Drake, no new friends. It's a very closed-minded and often dogmatic mindset. And he also says, if I only kept my circle to who I knew before college, then I wouldn't have grown or expanded. And Michelle Ford says, I love going out by myself by choice. So yeah. If you think about it, well, I can't say this for everybody, but like for me, if I would have kept that crew that I had that freshman year of college, it was like 10 of us. I'm like, I got a bunch of friends now. We going to all the parties together. We got a crew. And then like 2 years later, it was like maybe 2 left. And then it was like, okay, so maybe they weren't really friends. But had I kept that crew and all of the craziness and what I probably would have, you start to become who you hang around. Yeah,
absolutely. And a lot of us are stifled because of the people who we have kept around. We start listening to that same, story over and over again. And you wonder why 5 years has gone by. You haven't reached the goal. You haven't made it to the place or the destination that you want to go to. And you look around and it's like, well, the rest of your crew hasn't moved either. You know what I mean? You could have been a lot further if you were willing to separate from the pack. Because if those people are really meant for you and that's what God wants you to have, they'll be there and they'll come back in formation like they never left. But you are never supposed to leave your responsibility, your destiny, your goals, and your dreams in the hands of somebody else. And a lot of times you look left, right, and it's like, man, what is the accomplishment here? How come I haven't done X, Y, Z? Because, again, that crew is sheltering you there, keeps all the habits that you like. But in order to grow, there has to be some level of challenge. There has to be some level of problem solving. And honestly, if everyone's always giving you the answer, when that crew is not around, you don't have an answer. Right. You know what I mean? And that's what ends up happening in life as well. And the other aspect of it too, more so that I've experienced with women is that, we were friends, we were single, we went to school, and now you have been proposed to, and now you are engaged. And I'm like, whoo, congratulations, the whole 9 yards. And then the wedding happens and you disappear. Now, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Newlywed bliss. Hey, happy times. Do you? But then I don't hear from you and I don't see you anymore. And I'm calling, hey, what's going on? How's this and that? I give you all benefits of the doubt, but I don't ever see you. I don't ever hear from you. But then now you're pregnant. You can send me a text message that you're pregnant. Right. Or that other time before now, I'm chopped liver, but now you want to tell me I'm pregnant with baby number 1. And then don't hear from you, I'm pregnant with baby number 2. Reach out just enough to get that baby gift, but then
right,
I don't see you anymore.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, it's
you know what I mean? And that's really crazy.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like, and then I'm gonna jump on my topic because the next one I'm gonna do is really big. But a lot of times when people get married, they feel like that's a license, like outside of having toxic friends, they feel like it's a license for you to just chuck everybody because you got a spouse now, and that I always say on the show, that ain't fair. You gotta especially you have you might have had a friend for 10, 15 years, 20 years. And now all of a sudden you can't dialogue. That's when either A, someone's controlling the other person, or B, you really don't see the value of having your individuality inside of the relationship. Ooh, right? Yeah. Being able to have friends and go out and do stuff without the spouse, right? That kind of stuff. A lot of people get stifled by that because they don't have their own identity inside the marriage. Like, you can go do some stuff you want to do. You don't have to be joined at the hip 24/7.
Yeah.
That's how you grow.
Yeah. And that also speaks to your mental health as well as a person. Because those insecurities are there. That low self-esteem that was either shelled or someone else was providing it. Those coping, how you cope too, coping mechanisms. And dealing with stuff. And maybe you just haven't really gotten to a place where you're comfortable and you like who you are. Maybe you're still at the point where you're still self-loathing. You haven't come out of your shell. You haven't know what it's like to just stand and just be. With this quarantine and everything, you have to just learn how to just be quiet. You have to learn how to just be still. All these different things. And you start to realize you are dependent on so many different forms of a distraction to keep you. And so a lot of people are facing that too, with their relationships and whatnot, because it was like, dang, I haven't been around you this much in a week. I'm kind of tired of you. I was over you on Wednesday. You still here? Okay. All right. I'm gonna go to my new, you know what I mean? It's this whole dynamic going on. And the other aspect of it too, when you go to weddings and things like that, it's a wonderful thing, but you also, it's another evaluation check to see where you stand with people. The groomsmen versus the bridesmaids and whatnot, whether you're chosen or not, it shouldn't be a reflection, but it oftentimes is. And a lot of times you can tell where you stand with people and how you find out about stuff. Did you get that invite at the last second? Because I always say to people, nobody wants to be an afterthought.
Exactly.
And when I say that, people are like, oh, you so sensitive. You said, no. Nobody wants to be an afterthought, because if you really wanted me to be there, I would have had more than a week's notice. Yeah. You gave all these other people several months. You're giving me a lot. Oh, I don't want to forget you, blah, blah, blah. Well, you should be happy you got the invitation. Well, that's all good and dandy. You know what I mean? But I'm not chopped liver. You know what I mean? I am somebody. And people don't like it, when you say that.
Yeah, I always hate when people are like, oh man, I forgot to tell you, we having a party tonight at 9:00. Really? Nah, I'm good. But okay, I'm gonna read. I promise you, I'm gonna get to my topic. I'm gonna read a couple comments so I don't get behind. Bars on Air said from Periscope, I'll never forget my dad telling me while I was in school, association breeds assimilation. That's true. That is true. And then Twyla Taylor from Facebook says, self-love is important. Doesn't matter how others think or respond to situations. Live life, laugh, and that's it. And then you have Caleb T. Johnson says, hey, superstar Georgina, I'm watching.
Hey.
And Alicia says, LOL, that happened to me with my old bestie. 1 week notice for the 40th birthday party. And so now I'm going to, the topic I've been holding on to, friendship trauma, right? The friendships that go horribly bad or that you get really hurt from, not just the trauma itself, but a lot of times people don't welcome new friendships because of the trauma, and you kind of get stagnant and you're afraid, right? It's just like any other trauma, PTSD, call it what you want. Some people are stuck not allowing new friends to come in because they do not want to deal with possibly feeling like, and we see this in regular relationships too. where they don't want to feel like that again, and they're afraid, and it's so you meet people and you meet cool people, but it's like, yeah, I can't, because what if this happens again? So how do you feel people can kind of start to overcome that?
I think for me, because I went through this being a new kid when I was living in Long Island. My old friends in Brooklyn are my ride or dies. Like, I love them. We were kids. It was pure. When I got to Long Island, it was like these people enjoyed stabbing each other in the back on a regular basis. And I just was like, I could never be close to none of y'all, because I literally went from one class, 5th period, and then went to the 6th period class. And the girl that was in that class was laughing and everything with this girl. And then we get to the next period talking terrible about it. I was like, oh no, I can't be but so close with any of y'all, because this is how you'll behave. But when that happens, you do have to let yourself grieve that friendship. You have to let yourself grieve it and understand and kind of peel back the layers of what happened.
Yeah.
And then you have to take the good that you had with that person and cherish that and move forward. Because I've been through a different gambit of different friendships going one way or another. And I had to remember the good times that I had with it. But when the bridge came where I had to cross over, you got to let yourself, feel the nervousness, feel the anxiousness. What happens is we try to numb these things. And what these things are is the way of healing. So the nervousness, the anxiousness, I don't know, and all of those things, you got to feel it so that you will remember for future not to go too far with a person that exhibits, if it was toxic behavior, that, okay, I can read that flag now. I can see that. I'm not going to go there. But you also have to give yourself a chance to figure out who you are and what you want. Revisit your values. Revisit your boundaries. Did you even have any to begin with? Because a lot of us think we do, which we might in here, but it never comes out of our mouth. We don't say it. We make assumptions, right, about whatever it is. We don't communicate it. We just assume that everything's cool. You have to learn how to communicate, because I could have all the values I want, but if I never tell you that if you show up late to this particular event, I'm gonna have an issue with you, and I never correct it, and then you do it, and then it's like the 5th time and I blow up, I'm gonna look crazy. But then I gotta look at my communication. Did I open my mouth and say, hey, you gotta be on time if you're rolling with me, right?
Yep.
That's important. I don't like it when you do this. Understanding that respect factor of someone apologizing to you and you don't see change behavior, that's being disrespectful. And a lot of people don't like it when you say that, and they're like, wait, what do you mean? You got to watch people's actions and behavior. Listen to the verbiage and then see the behavior of what they're doing. And you got to be okay saying, hey, listen, I don't like that. If you're going to be cool with me, I don't accept that. You know what I mean? And you have to stand up for yourself. Otherwise, you will get people to drag you all over the place, and you're not a rag doll.
Yeah. It's tough when people have, like, it may not just be one friend. It may be a series of friends that hurt you, and then you meet great people, and you kind of, you're afraid to do anything with them, right? And what I've learned to do for myself is it's almost kind of like if it's like a stairway to get to be like my friend, maybe like a quarter way up, it's a door with a lock on it. And then another quarter way, it's another door. And you got to earn that key, right? So before you get the key to the first door, hey, how you doing? We cool? We at the bar? We chilling? Cool? We cool? You might not come to my house.
Right.
You might not meet my kid. You might not meet my family. You get to that next lock, then we can do more stuff and grow more together. But until you earn that first one, I'm going to do my job to earn my keys. But you got to do your part too. If you don't get that far, we cordial as hell. We can have a good old time. You could be my party friend, but I'm going to compartmentalize you and put you in that category, and you're not going to get any further than that. That's how I protect myself from even getting to the point where that trauma even happens. Now, nothing's perfect, but I don't let you, especially now when I'm not a young buck no more. I got things. I got things to lose. I got time to lose. Time means much more at this age.
you know what? At every stage of friendship, you do have something to lose. You could lose yourself.
Yeah.
At every stage of friendship, you do have something to lose. You could be in problems and it could be related to a group of people. But when it's back to back to back, you're going to feel like, oh, what's wrong with me?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Why don't these people like me? Why don't these people? And it could be that when you look at the core of them, look at how you first met them. What were the circumstances? That's the other thing too. Sometimes you're friends with people circumstantially, just like people get together in relationship circumstantially, which we now call situationship. And then when the situation change, you're trying to figure out what ship you still on.
Yep.
Right. It's time to dock and get off.
Right.
That's what it means. And that happens throughout different stages in life. It's our personal responsibility to every so often, and I recommend for people to do this at least twice out of the year. I do it on my birthday and I do it right before New Year's and evaluate who I consider friends. And then, like anything, you promote, you demote, and you fire. You just have to find ways of doing it. Now, do I go and be like, oh, I'm gonna delete you and blah? No, you just comfortably widen the distance.
Yep.
That communication for the sake of your sanity, to be, for you to be sane. If I went from talking to you almost every day, maybe I talk to you once a week now. Maybe I talk to you once in 6 months. And that just is what it is. There are some people who I've had conversations with about, oh, don't be a stranger. And they're very comfortable not talking to me for a whole year. Well, guess what? I know exactly where to put you. It doesn't mean that when I eventually do see you, that I'm not going to be happy to see you. It's been a long time, but I know where I stand with you now. You know what I mean? And there's sometimes I had to look at it like I'm not in your inner circle. And sometimes you have to evaluate the friends you do have, that you consider them a friend, and where you put them, and not to put people on pedestals, because that's something that we do too. That's also part of the silent break, is that you put this person way up here. They never asked to be there. You put them there. And then when they disappoint you, you're upset, you're mad, you're this, and then you, based on them not living up to where you placed them, you break the friendship.
Yeah.
They never asked to be put on a pedestal.
That's how I always tell when I talk to different people, just from being a coach or whatever, about these situationships and how some aspects of your situationship feels like a relationship. It's just like if I had a friend, and I'll call it my bar friend. While I'm at the bar, it feels like we buddies. Right. And sometimes people get it confused. And so, like, when people are dating and they're not in this no title, and we're just and we're only going to be this, you get confused because it feels like your boyfriend and girlfriend when you together, and you're like, well, what are we doing? What are we? This my boyfriend. And he like, wait, no, nobody said we didn't say, well, what are you doing? And that's what people do with friendships sometimes, because while you at the bar, it feels like, oh, it feels like I've known you forever. Like we hanging out at the bar. You take that same person to church, it's a different person. You take that same person to your family, reunion, and you're like, whoa, wait, maybe we should just only be at the bar. Maybe we just need to be. Maybe you could be my bar buddy.
wait, snatch back. Let me put you back over here.
Right. I always preach. You always you meet good people. But that doesn't mean that person belongs in every part of your life. Only certain people can get the whole thing. I always say compartmentalize friendships, because some people are only good in certain arenas. That goes back to what I was talking about, trying to merge the new friends with the old friends. Sometimes you gotta keep people where they belong, and when you're in their presence, it's all gravy. But when it comes time for you to have things that are more closer to your heart, you gotta keep them where they're compartmentalized until they earn the key to get to the next level.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, because that's a good way of pacing yourself. You don't get too involved with another person until they have earned that spot to be in your life. And for someone to call you friend is a privilege. And that's something that people misconstrue all the time. For someone to call you a friend, for me to call you a friend, is a privilege, because you don't get the same access to me that other people, a stranger, would get. And that's the thing, where a lot of us we don't know our boundaries. We're trying to make something look like what it is. And the other part of it is that some of us are just users and we don't know it yet. You know what I mean? Some of us are just bona fide users. Sometimes you don't know that you are the user in the relationship. Like, so long as Susie keeps coming to pick me up, we cool. The minute Susie can't come pick me up, we arguing. We're not friends no more. You don't realize that sometimes you are that, and some people you are around them because they're your crutch. And so you have them to do different things and different biddings because that's your crutch. You've now used this person for what you can get from them. And
amen.
Right? Sometimes how you talk about a person matters as well. You know, when every time you mention this person's name, is it a positive experience, or you always dogging this person down? You know what I mean? And that's the other part that people, don't realize. I personally believe that at the end of the day, yes, we all need to learn how to be cordial no matter what the situation is. I have had many instances where I've been challenged and I had to choose not to get in my feelings and be like, you know what? You're not going to win this, because in this room, as much as I'm mad at this particular individual, in this room is potential for me to grow. So I can't check this person here right now, as much as every fiber of my being wants to do so. This is not the time. This is not the place. It's not going to work in my favor if I do that. And sometimes you literally have to have that conversation in your head to slow down the reaction of what's going to take place. You know what I mean? And, trying to handle situations like Love and Hip Hop will have you in jail. So please, people.
Right. That's why I always rock this, because peace of mind, that maintaining your peace, even in these friendships and the different ways that people are, sometimes it's best to just be like, you know what? You see that call coming. Oh, I know they're going to ask me for $2. And you could be like, I don't got it. And just keep it moving. Right? Some people are like, dang, I'm going to have to give it to them. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You don't have to. You can maintain that distance.
That shirt, I remember when we was on Periscope and I seen that shirt, I was like, yo, that shirt is my mantra. I live by that.
Yeah.
My peace of mind is everything for me. If you are going, this is the box. Are you going to compromise Miss Georgina's peace, or are you going to keep Miss Georgina's peace? If you are not going to keep my peace, you will not be there. You are gone. And most of the time, you won't even know that I even came in the room. I kind of did a peripheral and I checked, and by the time you figure it out, I've been home for 2 weeks.
Yep. That's why I pride myself. I mean, it's not perfect, but I pride myself on not having these negative connections with people.
Yeah.
And to be able to walk around and know that there's nobody out here that can say, I hate Derek, because I'm not even going to give you the room to hate me. Either I'm going to distance myself, or I'm going to keep it so cordial that you don't even feel it. You be like, hey, I'm like, hey, how's the family doing? Okay, cool. I got to go to work now. And then keep it moving. So if somebody say, how did Derek treat you? Oh, he was nice. Like, you're not going to feel that from me unless you do something to me or my family, like physically or something like that. I control my peace. I control my zone around me. And if you want to come in and be negative, I'm going to let you bark at yourself. That's how I roll. I can't let you.
That's how you got to do it. Or you got to have the button for the trap door, like the cartoons do, and let them drop. You know what I mean? That may be what you have to do. But in this day and age, and if anything, especially with where we are right now in the world and in life, the interesting dynamic for me is that we need people. We need each other. And with everything that's going on, what's really killing people is, yes, you're dealing with this disease, but it's also the fact that there's nobody there in the room with you to hold your hand and say, hey, I'm still here. This is worth you staying here and living for. I've had to bury a friend, and I've had to bury a lot of young Black men, unfortunately, in their 20s. And let me tell you something. There is no gaudy, there's no immaculate, there's no ornate excuse in the world that you can come up with that is going to even hold water as a casket is going into the ground. Not one.
Right. Yeah.
Not one excuse. Matter of fact, by the time you think of that excuse, you're going to wish to God that you had dropped whatever it was that was going on and had answered the phone call and had went to go see that person when it popped up in your head that time. Because here's the thing about funerals. There's only one body going into the ground. all them people standing there, nobody says, let's jump in. Take me too. Nobody does.
Yep.
Nobody does. So when people start saying stuff to me like, oh my gosh, you take it so seriously, you haven't buried enough people. I don't want you to have to go through that, grieving process. But when you know that person is never coming back, there's nothing I can do today to bring that person back in their true form, like how it used to be. It really has you going, oh, you know what? I don't know when the last time I saw so-and-so. I don't know when the last time I spent time with this particular person. And I'm also like that with the way that I give hugs. I have people who can attest to that, have met me in person, and people who know me. Like when I hug you like it's the last time I'm ever going to see you. Why? Because for me, I can sleep at night knowing I gave my best. And if I never saw you again, you knew that you were appreciated the last time you saw me. And I'm okay with that. That helps me. And God forbid that I have to grieve. It makes my grieving process that much easier. But we need each other. And too many people are out here discarding people like broken, like children treat their toys better than adults treat friendships right now. It's like who's going to be on the come up? Who's going to make me look good? Who's going to do this and that? Everything is what can you do for me?
Yeah.
It's not like how it was on the playground back in the day, for me in Fort Greene playing around where it's like, you pushed me, he pushed me, and they'd be like, okay, I'm sorry, can we go play now? Okay. That's how kids are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for some reason, you pushed me and it's like, we're not friends no more. I'm done. Throw it away. We don't have nothing to do with it. Oh, I'll come back in when you can do me a favor. Like that awkward. I don't want that. Good friendship is like good food. It's good for your soul.
Yeah. So
you have to moderate the ingredients, and change it up, just like the gumbo, you try to figure out what's going on in it. Add a little bit of this, add a little bit of that, take that out, and as you get older, your taste changes. You may have a bland taste and now it's a little bit more refined. So you kind of have to, it's your responsibility at the end of the day to choose what's best for you. That includes your friendships. Your association matters. Who you associate with says who you are. And if you're looking at your association and it's not a reflection of you, it's time to change or do something about it. And sometimes, more likely than not, start with yourself rather than going, okay, you got to start with yourself. Because eventually, as you grow, you will weed out everybody else because you're too big. They can't hang with you no more. It's like, oh, you're too big. I got to go, So, yeah.
Okay. So on that note, we're going to wrap this up because we almost at an hour. And this was good. Like, we could do this all night, right?
Yes, we can.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put up your contact information, and I want you to just verbally tell people how to contact you and, whatever you have to offer.
So if you found this very interesting and would love to have me back, for sure, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Periscope. It's all as Scribes for You too. Again, I am a broadcast scriber. And as a broadcast scribe, I'm someone who can be in your live stream, help you. Those of you who are new to live stream and you just need somebody to help you get your feet wet and go through with you the emotions of what it means to go live streaming, I help you out with that. I'm also a customer service expert. If you have questions regarding your service, your product, or your business, and you want to improve that, I can help you with that. Gift basket creating, I love to do that. I love to, surprise people and give people things to let people know that they are appreciated. For sure, and butter makeup artists as well. Proof's in the pudding.
So make sure you guys contact her. The information is on the screen. At Scribes 4, the word U 2 on IG, Twitter, and Periscope for those that are on the actual podcast. But those who you are looking at the live video, just screenshot it, and you can have it with you whenever you need it. So. So we are going to let you drop off so I can close out. But I thank you for coming. I appreciate you. We definitely gonna have you back at some point because whenever I have somebody that kind of pushes this thing to grow, I like to have them back. For me and for you and for our audience because our audience was very engaged tonight. So let me make sure I don't have any more questions. Michelle Ford from Facebook says, yes, a good person doesn't always equal a good friend for you.
Yes.
Bars on Air says who you associate with says who you are. That's a bar. She's from New York, so she was born with bars.
Right.
Caleb T. Johnson says that was awesome interview, Georgina.
Oh, thank you, Caleb. Appreciate it.
So
thank you for having me.
Yeah, once again, I appreciate you. We're gonna have you back, and we'll find each other in these Periscope streets one of these days. And yeah, so I'm gonna say good night to you. So we're gonna mute you down, and then I'm gonna close out, and we're gonna get out of here. Thank you again.
Good night, guys.
All right, guys. So that concludes the podcast. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. And we will see you again next week. Have a great night. All right, guys. So we're off the podcast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back here again on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Make sure that you follow me. Hold on one second. Let me put at the bottom of the screen, you will see the website, www.relationshipgumbo.net. And you can connect to me on all social media because sometimes I'll do a pop-up show. So you don't want to miss those. But the scheduled one is always Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're here every week. We have a lot of amazing shows. And like I told you before, let me put these up again for the people that are on live. One second here. The podcast is everywhere you can get a podcast. So just search for Relationship Gumbo and it will pop up, and you have about 31 episodes that you can look at and binge during this quarantine time. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good interviews. Excuse me. Next week, we're going to have another amazing guest. And we're going to talk about relationships again. So make sure you come back. You'll see the information for that pop up early next week. Also, don't forget about hold on one second. Let me put this down. So I want you guys to see this. Don't forget about the merch, guys. Don't forget about the merch. The merch is there. The shipping is, it's quarantine shipping, but it'll get to you. I would say it probably takes about maybe close to 2 weeks now, but it'll get there. So just check it out. You can see all the t-shirts and stuff. I'm going to add some more stuff, probably in the next couple of weeks, but just keep up with me. I got some good stuff coming. So on that note, let me bring this down. I will see y'all next week. Have a great night.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derrick Jones about to break it down with the Relationship Gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, cause better relationships need better ingredients, so if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derrick Jones, the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship Gumbo.